chat, happy Pride Month. And Pride includes talking about not just, hey, we're not doing like a kink at Pride thing. Now it's, I think this is about polyamory. The fastest way to become miserable. Let's see. Let's see if it works. It's Brett Cooper. Everyone's favorite. If Ben Shapiro was LARPing as a teenage girl, although I think she's in her 20s.
The study they could find in 2024 was from 2015 about senior citizens. This study was probably done in a nursing home where they are widowed, divorced, sad, hooking up with each other. I actually have seen studies where it's like in nursing homes and assisted living, the STD rates, yeah, crazy swingers, they're bored. Well,
yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're crazy swingers or old people just fucking at the end of their lives. Hell yeah, dude.
welcome back to the comment section. I'm Brett Cooper. We are living in a weird age, just for a myriad of reasons. I think you guys know that. But one of the reasons why we're living in such a weird time is because things that have long been considered traditional and good and normal have become untraditional and actually the reason for confusion and mockery from a lot of our peers.
I can't believe that people who did the traditions died and fucking turned into worm food, and along with it, much of their particular form of culture. And the traditions die with them and change with the people who are still alive. That's just crazy. What a strange human concept that things will change as new people do the things. Of course. This is the inevitable failure of conservatism. They have such short-sighted notions on how the world works. You can't conserve anything. You can't conserve how your grandmother felt about the notion of, I don't know, patriotism or something. I don't know what the fuck. Because it's different now. Like, her experience is different. You're not going to be the same. They didn't grow up with television or the radio or... actually, they did probably go up with the radio. There's probably not many people alive that grew up without the radio at this point, but maybe when I was a kid. Television, the internet, obviously phones and shit, and like, you know, all of this live streaming services, like immediate fucking gratification. Can you imagine how that changes a culture? The difference in nutrition and understanding and education and all the stuff. I mean, everything's just different now. It's impossible to conserve this shit. So yeah, man, it's not going to be conservative, and you aren't even close to as conservative as like the things you're trying to uphold. Like, none of the stuff you're doing would be allowed in the place you're being paid to show respect to. Yeah.
Obviously, the first thing that comes to mind based on my experiences is homeschooling, you know, raising and educating children outside of the school system.
Homeschooling has always been fucking lame, okay? When I was a kid, which is definitely before she was a kid. That's always been lame. Don't fucking homeschool your kids, you freaks. Stop it. Stop doing it. The only way you get to homeschool your kids is if you fucking, there's no schools where you're at, okay? I think in every single case, it is unwise to homeschool your kids in the modern day. I like, you gotta send your kids to public spaces so that they can socialize with other people that aren't you, okay? You just have to. They gotta be around humanity so that everybody can learn to be together in a safe place, which should be school. And then that creates community, and hopefully we can continue to do that. Everyone, it's crazy, right? Like, we all are talking about, like, oh man, I wish we had more community spaces, and you know, the third spaces are gone. We want like walkable cities and stuff like that. And the only time in our life that we actually get the kind of social community that we're seeking is during school, which is why a lot of us have nostalgia for those times, to some extent, because you're like, you know, you had your friend group at least. Like, we need to stop isolating, and of course they're always going to be the ones that say, oh, the left is so atomized, and they advocate for such individualist stuff. It's like, no, not really, man. Like, we're talking about community all the time. I was homeschooled in my high school years. It stunted me socially. It took me well into my late 20s to learn how to have healthy relationships. Oh yeah. I've had really good friends who are homeschooled who are just fucked. Like, their heads are fucked. They have low self-esteem. They're not confident around other people, obviously. They, like, really have to work at relationships and just, like, understanding other people because of like parlance and fucking social culture and the different stuff they didn't experience. Like, it's so hard to like you take someone out of the culture. Essentially, it's nuts.
Was once the norm. That is what everybody did.
That is not what everybody did. What do you mean was the norm? Like in the 1800s, dude? And not even then. Like it was more normal in the 1800s due to like colonial settler like shit as we moved westward. But goddamn, bro, this is so silly. When? Not in your fucking lifetime. Certainly not in your parents' lifetime. Not in your fucking grandparents' lifetime. That's really not like my grandfather lit the fire. This is true. My grandfather, he would tell the story, lit the fire at his single room fucking school when he was a kid. That's still centralized teaching. You know what I mean? And when he was a kid, the town he grew up in was like, gotta be over 60 years old. When was it? Let's see. When was it found? When was it founded? 1819? Oh, well then it was 100 years old or so. Thereabouts. Like, wait, you don't know stuff about things.
Department of Education and government public schools are actually very new in the grand scheme of our history, and I would argue that they have just made
the grand scheme of our history? You'd have to go back to like when the Civil War was a thing to not have schools start to be normal.
It's dumber, and they have wasted millions upon millions, maybe billions of taxpayer dollars. And even though the Department of Education was only started in 1979...
That's not when schools were started. The Department of Education is not when schools began.
Public schools and feeding into that system is now the norm. And if you pull your children out of that system and you educate them at home or online or in a co-op situation, you are seen as weird. And people will say that
yes, you are weird.
You are ruining your children both academically and
100%.
socially. I'm sure you guys have heard all the critiques. As a homeschooler myself, I have heard them time and time again. But
you're a homeschooler or you've been homeschooled?
That change happened fast. Another example is just having children. It was once just what you did. And now not only is it less common, but in many areas and industries and communities, women are mocked for wanting children. I would know because that happened to me.
I don't care if you want kids. Who fucking cares? What is being mocked is not you wanting kids, but thinking that everybody should want to have kids. Like, it's weird. Like, you don't have to, who gives a fuck? Have kids or don't.
Time and time again when working in Hollywood, and even when I've been outside of working in Hollywood, I still get those concerns from people. But basically, the point is, progressives are so concerned with subverting tradition in...
It's crazy how, like, she's actually, like, evil iCarly. But not in-universe iCarly, like, real, like, there's a studio set that she walks to like she should have a little evil goatee. I mean she's exactly the same. This is all scripted. It's all just produced for her. This isn't her. There's nothing in the cup. You know? She doesn't live here.
Every aspect of our lives. And I'm not concerned by this just because I want normalcy and convention and I want everybody to do what I want to do, but I'm concerned by it because what is traditional is often traditional for a reason, because through different time periods and different communities and through different families and people, it has still worked. And
yeah, but it doesn't have to be the way it works. You know, dummy? You're dumb. What a child. It just is not, like, it might work for you. If you get divorced, it didn't fucking work, okay? If one of your kids fucking dies, it didn't work, okay? It's fucked. Your way isn't for everybody. I hope it works for you. I hope you're very happy. It's not the way that other people have to live. That's just not it.
And been proven effective time and time again. And much of what people are pushing today is the exact opposite of that, like polyamorous relationships, which is what we have to talk about today.
Let's go! Hey! Finally. We got the little poly lamp up here. We get to talk about it a little bit. Let's go.
Before we dive in, though, make sure that you subscribe.
No.
About this before, but people are desperate to make polyamory happen. I mean, poly couples and thruples, quads, whatever you want to call them, they thrive on social media as they share the details of their arrangements and situations. They go about their day-to-day lives. People obviously are locked in because it is so strange. But
are they? Is this a thing? Are you talking about like some vloggers or something? I've not seen any of this, nor do I care. I don't give a shit. I hope you're all happy. I am too. This sounds like girl-defined. All traditions except the ones I ignore to make money are good. Yeah, I mean, this is really stupid. I would love to talk to Brett Cooper. She got massively popular so organically.
But they get millions and millions of views and start all of these conversations.
Do they get millions and millions of views just for being poly? Hey guys, I'm poly. Millions of views me. Let's go. You guys want to hear all about all the fucking I do?
Think pieces from pop psychologists desperately argue that monogamy isn't actually normal or good and that men and women are happier not committing to each other. And
not committing to each other. Okay, so that's a misconception. You can commit to people and be polyamorous, man. You can still just love people. To different degrees, even. You can just love people. Yeah, I mean, that's silly. Unless you think committal is just like a physical pact, then I guess, sure. I mean, can you do stuff together? How far removed from the situation can you be before it's considered a betrayal? Captain Squirt 69, welcome to the polyamory discussion.
Sadly, guys, it has worked because polyamory is becoming more and more normalized by the day. And
yeah, that's cool. If that's how you want to live that way. Fuck yeah.
Just so we're all on the same page here, not everything should be normalized. We should not tell the world everything. We should not be desensitized to everything. Let's bring back some taboos, is basically what I'm saying.
Why? That seems to live in insecurity. Why? I'm not gonna be embarrassed because you are. That seems fucking odd. You know, I had a shitty friend like that once who told me many times not to say things because they were embarrassed rather than me actually being embarrassed about things that I was proud of, like being poly or something like that. Cut those people out of your life.
Have you no shame?
Over the last 20 or so years, it has become seen as more and more morally acceptable. The biggest jump being 5% to 20% between the years of 2006 and 2020.
Fuck yeah. Morally acceptable? Only 20%? That's low. That's low. Most people don't give a shit.
And info from dating apps shows that it's not only becoming more morally acceptable, but that more and more people...
I think when they are asked about it, they're themselves uncomfortable with the notion rather than not wanting to allow other people to do it. You know what I'm saying?
People are putting it into practice.
From a moral perspective.
Axios reported that 33% of OkCupid users said that they would consider an open relationship.
Okay, so that's 33% considering one.
Up from 27% in 2014. And there was a 45% increase in profile mentions of terms relating to non-monogamy between 2021 and 2023. And in February of 2023,
I will say, I mean, you know, as with anything, there are like groups of people who misuse the term and just like practice just fucking freely, which is fine. But, you know. I think to be considered like polyamorous, it would be like a little more communicative, I think. Morally acceptable or socially acceptable? Well, the question was morally.
Poll found that the number of Americans interested in monogamy had fallen from 61% to 55%. And what caused that shift? Yes, polyamory. But to get into more detail, the poll...
What caused the shift? You think polyamory caused the shift? You think it caused the shift to itself? That seems like a strange way to think about it, doesn't it? I think what happened is that people went, wait, you can do that? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, oh, you're okay with it? And they're like, yeah. Okay. We should do that. Okay. And then they did that. That's usually how those conversations go. It's fine if you want to be monogamous. I get it.
Poll found that 1/3 of Americans, or 34%, described their ideal relationship as something other than complete monogamy. To measure this, YouGov asked people to rate their ideal relationship on a scale of 0 to 6, where 0 represented complete monogamy and 6 meant complete
the vacuum.
Non-monogamy. Many adults who do not choose total monogamy desire something in between complete monogamy and complete non-monogamy, with 26% of all Americans choosing an option in the middle.
Right. Which, of course, Brett Cooper framed as total non-commitment to people, which is obviously stupid.
Number between 1 and 5. So my assumption is that people are being wishy-washy and they don't know what they want and being
I totally disagree. I think they're being nuanced. I think they're like, okay, well, I'd like some aspect of what monogamy means to you, which of course means like a committed relationship. So they're like, oh, I would like to have like a main partner and then some other partners, or at least one other partner that isn't my primary partner. to have fun with. That's like how a lot of people look at it. Some people have different systems for how they like their relationships. For me personally, it's just like vibes. I don't care. I don't have labels. I don't give a shit. It's just whatever. So, like, if you have a connection with someone, you can pursue it without being, like, guilty or cagey and shitty. Like, just communicative. And if, you don't want to, you don't. That's it. It's pretty easy.
Completely non-monogamous doesn't sound good, obviously, because that completely goes against our nature, but it's cool. So you're picking something
It's not about being cool, man. Who gives a fuck? If I didn't want to be poly, I wouldn't be poly. I just wouldn't do it. What about being cool? Why are you like this? Who thinks like that? Who is like, oh my god, I hope people think I'm cool about this core foundational feeling I have about the way my relationship should be? If you're, hey, guys, if you are considering what other people might think is or is not cool about your relationship,
I thought Jake was fucking hot.
you should shut the fuck up and reconsider your life because you're doing a dumb thing. Do not base your relationship on what other people think of it. Okay? Base it on what's actually happening. That said, if a bunch of your friends are saying you should break up with your significant other, they're probably right. Just saying. If a bunch of people are saying, hey, you guys suck together, yeah, they're probably right. Yeah, the thing people are truly afraid of with poly a lot of the time has only to do with how they have to explain the situation to people outside of it. Big time. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I don't have as much of a problem personally with like what I would say, but I do shield people from it that I think would have a hard time having to grasp it so that they don't have to have what they think is an awkward conversation. But I don't give a shit. You like who you like. You love who you love. Just how it works.
that's sort of in the middle so you can touch into both buckets. That is social contagion at work, my friends. And
that's actually fucking crazy, Brett. It's actually just like how people want to live their lives. You don't have to do it. Live however you want. Easy.
it is working hard because everywhere that you look, the media is telling you that polyamory is the best and it just makes you so happy and you will be so fulfilled. I mean, like just last week, Forbes published this piece, Why Are Non-Monogamous Relationships Thriving? A Psychologist Answers.
Okay. Do you know why non-monogamous relationships are thriving? There's a few things. Number one, I mean, a lot of these people might be cohabitating, so like rent's cheaper. Number two, usually people who are in non-monogamous relationships, if they reach non-monogamy in a conscientious way, they're probably pretty dope people. So they're probably pretty healthy and have like emotionally and have pretty good communication. Like, and also they work. True. Shadow Hunter Space-Time Flower. Thank you for following.
I mean, that was on June 8th of this year. And they talked about happiness levels and sexual satisfaction and what people are getting out of these relationships. And they wrote, individuals in non-monogamous relationships experience greater satisfaction and commitment than their monogamous counterparts.
And like looking at this study, she just has the dissonance of no.
Non-traditional relationships result in greater satisfaction, boasting better communication and more openness and need fulfillment than conventional relationships.
Why would you in an anti... Is she a psyop? Is she trying to convince people to be polyamorous? Look at this data that supports the quality of this relationship style. Like...
And that first line alone is just laughable and so ironic. Just listen.
It's not laughable or ironic. It's just true.
Listen again. Individuals in non-monogamous relationships experience greater commitment than their monogamous... No, you don't.
Yeah, man. I actually bet we do. I bet we do, Brett. Like, yeah. I would be shocked. I think if we did one of those like little couples things where you sit down and you have to name everything about your partner, and we sat down and Brett Cooper and whatever fucking white guy she's dating, or I guess married to, sat down, and then Sarah and I sat down, we would demolish them in a show of love and support, and they would be in shambles and their relationship ruined. Like it just, you don't communicate with each other in these conservative monogamous relationships. You just don't. She thinks poly is just fucking everyone? That's so crazy. That's so crazy. I don't even want to fuck everybody. I'm too good at it to like just fuck willy-nilly.
You literally don't. You can argue that you're happier until the cows come home, but you do not experience greater commitment. That completely goes against what non-monogamy is. Then they got into this.
Like, commitment to them is just not having sex with other people? That's it? I disagree. I think commitment is a much deeper thing. Commitment to me is like really committing to the other person and thinking of their well-being and making sacrifices for them and reciprocating with them in ways like love is so interesting, and commitment is definitely like just being I've been monogamous with people I wasn't committed to, like, and so is a lot of people.
Stats, and they said a
2015
study published in Sexual and Relationship Therapy found that adults age 55 and above were happier in non-exclusive, unconventional relationships compared to those in monogamous relationships.
Of course. Monogamous relationships, like exclusive monogamous relationships, are hard. Look, hey. Chat, I'm a little flirty from time to time, I found through my life, and it's gotten me into some hot water at times, okay? I didn't realize I was flirting even some of the times, right? You're like, oh, whoa, that person thinks I'm flirting with them, and I didn't mean to do that. But here's the thing, okay? Sometimes hot water feels good, okay? A little hot tub. Sometimes you want to go in the hot water. And sometimes, when you're monogamous, you deny yourself hot water dips. And that's silly. That is silly to me. You can't... Sometimes, a little flirty? Yes! I'm considered a little flirty. I'm considered a flirty guy. I think that you having chemistry with another human being is cool and rare enough that it's worth valuing in our short time on Earth. That's what I think. If you don't agree, hey, be monogamous. I don't care. Be monogamous. Take your time. You've got plenty.
But guys, the thing is, these were the only stats that they actually had in this entire article.
Happiness and well-being? Damn.
Everything else consisted of these broad, sweeping statements about how the swingers were more sexually satisfied and everyone was very happy. That's the point in all of these articles. We're so freaking happy. Also,
yeah, I mean, they're happy. I mean, you wanted to be upset?
So, side note, they touched on who is more likely to be poly, and wow, wouldn't you know, my friends, there are value-based differences in who is monogamous and who is poly.
God damn it. Why would you do this right now? Why would you do this? Why do you want this? Why do you want this in your life?
Hey there. I see you've got a dry microphone just sitting there. Would you like me to lick it?
I apologize, Brett. I had obligations. Carrying on.
Individuals who perceive an abundance in romantic alternatives and hold liberal political and religious views are more open to breaking traditional relationship norms.
Wow. That's crazy. Not being a far right winger makes it more likely to not observe far right wing ideas? Fucking crazy.
Wow, not surprised whatsoever. I mean,
yeah, you shouldn't be. This just in, 99% of non-Christians do not go to church. Yeah, bro.
Didn't we just do a whole episode about
the other 1% are in church, but they're like not out yet.
How these people are so happy and just so fulfilled and so healthy? Not, but TLDR.
Not. Little Borat for
those people are not happy or healthy, unlike my dogs, who are both happy and healthy, thanks to rough greens. No,
oh my fucking God. I love your dogs. They deserve better owners, but I'm sure they won't get them.
My dog today. I'm sure
Psych!
you guys saw Rocky and Tater in the B-roll of that ad. They are happy. They are healthy, unlike people in poly relationships. Anyway, no matter what they tell you, I truly do not believe that polyamory equals happiness and satisfaction, and
It doesn't equal happiness and satisfaction. It says you're more likely to experience happiness and satisfaction, which is true, because most people who pursue poly relationships have the emotional wherewithal to like be happy and fulfilled. It takes work to be a happy, fulfilled person, to understand what makes you happy and fulfilled. Oh, what a journey. What a beautiful journey, Brett. You're not there yet, dude. You're too young. I'm sorry. Sometimes the olds are right. And there's the only thing that you can do is experience life and its ups and downs.
the data is backing me up here. I mean, one of the greatest things about monogamy and marriage is the security and the commitment, which is
You can get security, commitment, and marriage in poly relationships.
essential to human beings feeling safe and happy. And that is often non-existent in polyamory. And shocker, might just contribute to the skyrocketing rates of depression and anxiety that people in these relationship setups experience. But
The relationship setups do not experience higher rates of they just said they experience higher rates of happiness and satisfaction, not depression.
But before we get into the numbers, I thought that this video representation might be useful. Pagliassi the Hated posted this on X, and she said, I have yet to see a video from a polyamorous person talking about how their relationship works without them obviously coping or being on the verge of actual tears the entire time.
Okay. People like Brett refuse to understand or acknowledge that attraction, love, and other special feelings for people aren't limited resources. They don't vanish when you try to share them with one person, right? Pretty weird.
Just watch this one.
My husband and I have been non-monogamous for 13 years at this point. During our first pregnancy, neither of us was dating because we were just so overwhelmed and excited to be parents. During our second pregnancy, my husband did date. Because we've been non-monogamous for so long, we're really good at discussing our boundaries as our needs change. I was able to say to him during that time, I would be more comfortable if you were dating people that didn't live in our city. I didn't really want to date anyone at the time, partially because of my job and partially because of kind of a growing belly. But I was fine with him dating. If anything, it kind of removed some pressure for me because I was overwhelmed at work. Despite the fact that I was tired and not getting enough sleep and not feeling like I was spending enough time with my son, I was convinced that I should be able to do it all and wear, super tight dresses and heels while growing a baby inside me.
So she was doing all of this while her husband was leaving town to date. She
I mean, she sounds like a liberal, personally, but, she didn't seem unhappy at all.
was doing it all and managing everything at work and telling her husband to leave town to date. That is
I mean, she didn't seem bitter about her doing stuff. She said the opposite. She said, oh, I feel relieved. Poly means you fuck everything that moves. That's right.
it's not functional no matter which way you slice it.
My second pregnancy was actually really hard, and it wasn't because my husband was dating. It was because I didn't do a good job of setting boundaries outside of my marriage. As someone who's been non-monogamous for such a long period of time, you'd think I would be really good at setting boundaries in all aspects of my life, but it turns out I am not.
Seems like maybe you weren't doing a good job setting boundaries within your marriage as well.
What? But she just said that wasn't the problem, man. How can you just ignore what she said out loud? You're just saying, yeah, but what if you said a different thing? What?
Asking your husband to be home and helping you. Also, people went down the rabbit hole with this woman, and apparently she never actually wanted to be in a polyamorous relationship. She didn't want to have an open marriage, but her husband was begging for it and basically manipulated her and bullied her into doing it. And
Well, that would be bad if that's true. I hope she chooses and has consent towards stuff. If it's not true, then I would be against it. That's pretty simple.
she just went for it, and now they've been doing it for 13 years. It's asinine. And she does not look happy in literally any of her videos. Somebody commented and said, polyamory only continues if you are able to suppress all of your natural instincts, either through drugs or emotional abuse.
So, this is often a thing, people will be coping about stuff, and then they'll add other things to the equation to try to cast a wider net. And so it's like drugs, now that weed is legalized and it's super common and people are smoking it at higher rates, right? And then is going to say emotional abuse so that they can frame any kind of relationship outside of monogamy as abuse. You know what I mean? These people are fucking losers. Citation needed. But I don't care. I mean, you don't have to be poly. I don't give a fuck. I don't know why you would advocate for any kind of. The only thing I advocate for is that you make sure that you want to have the style of relationship you have. That's it. If you want a relationship with one person, I would love for you to interrogate why. If the answer is jealousy, that's fucked up. Then you should consider why jealousy and understand that about yourself. It's better to break that down. You don't have to not be monogamous at any point. You can still only be with one person. Who cares? Or none people. But you should understand why jealousy is something that fucks you up. Because I promise you, on the other side of that journey, you will be better for it. Because you'll be unshackled by it. In fact, doing that with all the things that fuck you up is a good thing, even if it's hard. Why am I fucked up? Interrogate it. Stubbornly interrogate yourself over and over. I barely have the energy for one romantic relationship, let alone more.
Somebody else said, so she works long hours and takes care of their son and has no time to date while he's out there banging away. Oh, sis, no. Somebody else said, because it doesn't work and it kills them inside to admit it. In my opinion, that is spot on, but also, like I said, the facts back me up. This is a study from 2012 when it was still acceptable to question these open relationships. This is
So I took older data that is contradicted by our newer data. Let's see.
The impact of polygamy on women's mental health, a systemic review, and look what they found. Their studies generally suggest a more significant prevalence of mental health issues in polygynous women compared to monogamous women.
Polygynous? What's yeah, this is I think that, I mean, polygamy means a different thing. This is a marriage term. So, yeah, I don't think polygynous women in those, so these are usually like quiverful right-wing spaces, and if they're definitely going to be less happy.
Individual studies report a high prevalence of somatization, depression, anxiety, hostility, psychoticism, and psychiatric disorder in polygynous wives, as well as reduced life and marital satisfaction, problematic family functioning, and low self-esteem. Wow.
Polygynous wives. Yeah, man. So that's a different thing. So that's a different relationship structure altogether. One that is forced by patriarchal power structures in religious communities. In patriarchal ways, you know? In sexist ways. Not the same, bro. Good job, Brett. Why is she so stupid? Who wrote this? Does she know she's saying stupid stuff?
Guys, color me shocked. It is so crazy that eliminating security and commitment and the nervous system regulating benefits of having a monogamous partner that loves you.
Nervous system regulating benefits? What are they, fucking brain force pills?
Would lead to mental health concerns. Wow, could have never, ever assumed that. Can't believe that is what they discovered. Here's another. Polygamy and poor mental health among Arab
Polygamy.
and Bedouin women.
But of course, Arab Bedouin women in polygamous relationships are deep under the fucking boot of patriarchy. Are you fucking serious? Oh my god, dude. This is like easily one of the worst sourced things I've ever seen one of these people put out. Holy fucking shit. Of course. These women are subjugated. They do not choose to be in this. You dumb. So dumb. Trying to say poly is a mental health issue? I don't know.
Socioeconomic position and social support matter. And then TLDR, polygamy is associated with a higher risk for poor mental health of women, regardless of their
polygamy.
CP and education and social support seems to have some protective effect.
Yes, the polygamy. That is not saying that a poly relationship is unhealthy. That's saying that the structure of patriarchal polygamy in religious communities are bad. Dummy. Monogamy doesn't stop cheating. Security and stability can't work if cheating still. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Self-proclaimed monogamists sure do have a history of not committing to monogamy.
I could keep going. I mean, here are two more. Psychological symptoms and sexual satisfaction in polygamic and monamic wives.
Dude, this is the same problem you've had the whole time. Yes. This is polygamy. This is not the same.
Monogamic wives had higher satisfaction from their sexual lives and had less frequent...
This is an argument on behalf of what my side of the political spectrum is saying. Like, religious, patriarchal, conservative structures are bad for women and everybody, but bad mostly for women.
psychiatric symptoms than polygamic wives. Prevalence of mental health problems in women in polygamous versus monogamous marriages, a systemic review and meta-analysis. The meta-analysis indicates that women in polygamous marriages had worsened mental health as compared with women in monogamous marriages. And it's so funny, guys, because it's not just these random reports and studies that have been done around the world for the last, 15 years or so. Even on websites dedicated to poly relationships, they acknowledge these facts. This is from findpoly.com, and they wrote that other research has revealed that polyamorous people are more likely to face relationship-related pressures and are more likely to suffer from mental health issues such as anxiety and depression. One study, for example, discovered that persons in polyamorous relationships experienced higher levels of relationship-related stress than those in monogamous partnerships.
Relationship-related stress? I would love to see what the study actually says instead of just mentioning the study, unlike the others that you brought up that were misappropriated. But this is using the word polyamory, at least. I would definitely say that having more relationships would lead to more relationship-related stress because you have more relationships. Like any kind of relationship adds a relationship stress. So, but I would also say that like the overall quality of those relationships is probably high. Most people aren't like poly and like there's such a difference between poly and like sleeping around, right? You can sleep around and not be poly. You can be poly and not be sleeping around.
And they did not even try to refute it. There was no paragraph afterwards saying, but this is untrue because of X, Y, and Z research. They just left it. They were like, yep, those are the facts. Can't do anything about it. And across the internet, there are people asking for help, saying, I want to be poly. I want to support this open relationship that I'm in, but my anxiety is off the charts and I'm so depressed. I mean, here.
Okay, so the anxiety and depression often comes from unlearning monogamy.
Reddit post.
And like fucking jealousy and shit.
Used to feel okay with polyamory, but mental health has made it so much more difficult. This is from a poly advice thread. I have a lot of relationship anxiety and nothing I try is soothing it. Being in a polyamorous relationship is horrible for my mental health. And this girl is like dealing with crippling anxiety over her boyfriend seeing other people, which she agreed to. And now.
Right. So she agreed to it and didn't have, had not confronted or interrogated why she's jealous. Yeah. I think it's sometimes just not for people. It's because they've been taught to have these feelings. You've been taught to have these feelings. You've been taught to be jealous of other people. This is a thing that they've socialized into you. You don't have to say yes if you don't want to. Silly.
She regrets it and can't get out of it. This is from 7 years ago. I feel like being poly is making me depressed. Again, I wonder why. It is not rocket science, people. This is common sense. This is why traditional things have stood the test of time and why they work. Somebody on X commented and said,
I don't believe that traditional marriages between men and women have worked. Like, working would mean that everybody experiences higher forms of well-being and everyone is happy, right? I don't think most people are happy. I think most people are happy-ish at times. I think to be actually happy and like really with the person you're supposed to be with is rare enough that we talk about it, right? Like there are some couples who you're like, damn, they really are really good together. They just make sense. What a cute couple. And then there's like most people who are like somewhere below that all the way down to they shouldn't be together. You know what I mean?
many traditional values like monogamy are lessons learned by previous generations. People should probably think a bit more before deciding that they don't apply.
So they're not generational lessons. Men in traditional, like back in the day, they didn't fucking observe monogamy. Men had multiple wives. Harems were things. These are normal practices. The same practices that you're saying are, you know, examples of poly relationships, which are actually just polygamy.
Spot on. And tradition does not have to mean boring or confining or oppressive, as many have said. In fact, today I would argue that tradition is actually incredibly freeing. It is freeing from these systems and ideas that control us and make us dumber and truly are making us more unhappy than ever before.
They make you dumber? Do you believe in Christianity, Brett? Yes.
So it is time, my friends, to be traditionally untraditional.
Yeah, that's stupid. What a dumb young lady. You hate to see it. You just hate to see it so much. Blatant brain-dead propaganda, absolutely. If you can't manage a monogamous relationship, I don't know that a non-monogamous relationship is for you. But I mean, typically, only having monogamy can sometimes lead to not having a good monogamous relationship. So, like, if you are a person experiencing jealousy and anxiety over the types of monogamous relationships you've been having, consider why, interrogate it, and see if there are other ways of having relationships that might be for you. You could also just change as a person to be better. And you might not land on being polyamorous or anything. You don't have to have multiple partners to be a happy person. But sometimes I think the option of having multiple partners is good enough. Just so you don't have to have that pressure on you. Especially if you're a flirty little guy like myself. Because I didn't realize that was something that gave me anxiety until I really interrogated it. I was like, damn, why does this always bother me so much? It's because I want to be allowed to like other people without feeling guilt, because there's nothing wrong with vibing. I like lots of people. But I only love a few of them, and I only am in love with one of them. I mean, like, holy shit. That's a whole different thing, man. Wow. If you get in my inner circle, you're a pretty cool person, probably. That's really how it works. You gotta be pretty fucking cool. I'm not out here all willy-nilly. And I don't think most people are. I think most people are like looking for quality relationships with people, and sometimes you just find quality in different places, and it manifests differently. Not every relationship is sexual or whatever. Like, I don't know. Have a nuanced fucking brain. That's all I'm asking for. Have a nuance. Have a little fucking, I don't know, thoughtfulness.